Hi, I'm Jeanette, an educator and creative who believes every person is a brand. Welcome to the Brand Talk, where we explore the story behind the person and the marketing that brings it to life. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Francine from WEWLA. Francine, thank you kindly for giving us your time. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to talk about WELA, which
Yes.
is your nonprofit. I'm excited to talk about WELA, but not just talk about what WELA is, but how WELA came about. WELA is an extension of you.
It
so
is.
with that, we want to talk about you as well. So tell us, where did WELA start? Who is Francine?
Wow. I mean, that's a question because it has a lot of layers. So it's like, how long do you want this show to be? Because,
Let's go layer by layer by layer.
So WELA actually started, I share this story, it started out of depression. And, so a little backstory on that. It was back in 2017, and I was going through this emotional turmoil because I was single.
I feel that.
I want to say, I think I was like 37. It was like right before I was about to be 40. And don't math me on that because, let's not go there. But I knew that, like, okay, I felt like something was wrong with me. Not that I knew, I felt like something was wrong with me because I was about to hit 40 and there was just the stigma of, like, not being married, not having the kids, the white picket fence. Now, I was a single mom, so I had my kids, but it was just like this whole, I want to say like the baby boomer time where you had to be married, kids, home, white picket fence, minivan, I don't know.
By 25.
Exactly, by 25.
25.
And so here I was about to be 40, and I fell into this like depression of, what's wrong with me? Why am I not there, right? And again, it's just, and a lot of women can relate because it was just this societal type of blanket of, of an identity that they put on women, you know what I mean? Because growing up with our parents being the baby boomers and really understanding those ideas of life, And so, yeah, I just felt like I was failing. And so I wanted to create a support community for any woman who was experiencing the type of emotions and depression that I was.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just be able to come together, in unity and just understand each other's different experiences. And so I was based in, the city of San Gabriel, so it was LA County. And so I was like, well, let me create a Facebook group. Let me create this Facebook group, and I'll call it Women Empowering Women Los Angeles. So I saw that there was a lot of different women out there, and that loved getting together. And so it started on Facebook in 2017, and
2017. We're in 2026.
We're in 2026.
Almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years. Yes. This year we're celebrating, our 9th year. And
God bless.
I know.
Truly, because we were just talking about prior to this that people say it takes like your business will fail within 3-ish years, and look at you 9 years later.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was telling you previously, I was that person that was like, I'm not gonna fail. This is gonna be great. But to have a business, it'll show you who you are.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Absolutely. But you know what? Honestly, I know we'll get more into this, but allow it to peel those layers. We are all like onions, peeling those layers back to really understand the deep core of who we are, so that we can evolve and blossom. In the way that we were meant to blossom and have purpose through our spirit, through God. And I'm a woman of faith, so that's going to come more into my story because it took me a long time to get to where I'm at today versus where I was 9 years ago.
9 years ago.
So it is 9 years ago, right? Oh my goodness. See, we're mathing, people. We are mathing.
No, but I think just to throw my two cents in there.
Yeah.
I think like what you're doing is very powerful because it's needed. I think it's difficult to have these conversations in general, let alone like being vulnerable and trying to use that vulnerability to grow, because it's difficult for me to be that open and honest, because then I feel like people can now weaponize like that honesty, or like if you fall into the ears or hands into someone that wants to cause you harm, like these are things that could easily, by you being open and honest, like these are things that could harm, like they're valid things to justify keeping yourself like in the comfortability of not sharing like your feelings.
And I love that you said that, because I'm going to have to interrupt you there. The group and community that I've created is the complete opposite. The women love to support other women. There is no other way around it. And that's, honestly, I feel truly blessed and honored to have created this space, because all of the feedback, the testimonies, and everything that I get and receive is like, they don't want to leave my events. They're like, I felt so seen, I felt loved, I felt safe, I felt connected. I met some amazing women that just wanted to support me and motivate me. And the thing is, you will not find that at any of the events that I host, because I'm so inclusive of everyone. I've loved on people since who knows how long. I mean, it goes back to my mom and my dad giving so much, to, homeless, to, collecting toys, collecting, clothing, donating money, whatever that looked like. Like, I have loved on people for the longest time, and it's funny because I was I was with another empowered woman, and she's a woman of faith too, and I did her podcast, and we went to her house afterwards, and we were talking. There was several of us ladies there, and I go, it's so funny, because it literally dawned on me. This was probably about 2 years ago, and I said, when I was young, girls didn't like me, because I was very upbeat, very bubbly. I always laughed. I always smiled. I was just a happy kid.
Yeah.
And girls didn't like me. And I remember being in a space with the girls that would just roll their eyes at me. And I just remember thinking like, wow, like, that's sad.
Yeah.
And so she goes, and I go, and here I am leading a whole women empowerment group and network. And she goes, well, maybe it's because you never want another woman to feel the way you did when you were younger.
Yes.
And I kid you not, I held back tears so hard that day. I know, why do we hold it back, right? But it hit me at my core.
It's like, I use this phrase that's very popular to me. Like, I knew, but I didn't know.
Yes.
It's like that was her saying that was such an aha moment.
Yes.
But not because you didn't already understand or feel that way, but maybe the words in which she put them just made some kind of
it all connected. Click, yeah.
And I think that's true, because how I shared about the difficulty with sharing feelings, because I've experienced people weaponizing that. I feel like that's a huge reason why I'm the way that I am, which is just so open, because I never want anybody to feel that way in my presence.
Yes.
Because I knew how ugly it made me feel, which makes sense to me, and I understand why you would start a company with the purpose of assisting and helping like so many other women, because you're creating a space where like I can come and feel comfortable and share my feelings and not feel like anybody will weaponize that. But maybe they'll see that and they'll help me, and they'll take me by their wing, and they'll help me grow in some other sense. So I think spaces like that are really important, and they're hard to find, genuine spaces like that. And I'm happy that we're having this conversation. So whomever is listening,
I'm like, girl, come to my events. Come to the events. They're amazing.
Because like they'll be truly safe there.
Yes.
I think that's valuable. Like, especially right now, like safe spaces are too important. They're not enough. We need more. And I'm glad to hear that, you're providing that like for so many people.
Yes.
And not just women, Like
No. Men. I've been the majority. It's so funny. I've been sharing this the last couple of months. Is ladies, the majority of people that reach out to me have been men. And that's because what I share now, I mean, I know we're going to get more into the story, but like who I am today as a self-love coach and transformational speaker, because I know the power that it has to help someone heal from their past.
Yes.
And how they get to show up in their purpose with so much confidence and leadership. And WEWLA has now transitioned to a space, an empowered community and space for leadership and restoration. So what I do as a coach and how I show up in my events with WEWLA is to really bring it all together. But the majority of people that reach out and ask me questions are men. And so when I started WEWLA, our whole branding was around women. It was to empower women. I labeled myself as a women empowerment coach and speaker. And it really was to inspire, uplift women, and understand that they had so much power within them to guide, to lead,
We
you know, to love, because we are very nurturing, you know, people. We love on people, you know, we want to be able to show up and take care of people and things like that. But it's like when I got to really understand the human behavior through spiritual psychology and how we are all formed as humans in this life on earth.
Yes.
And then understanding our spiritual component within us. So it's like it's the constant battle of lightness versus darkness, you know? And it's like, oh my goodness, if more people understood who they were at their core, they would then allow awareness, forgiveness, and love to enter.
But it's such a hard thing. I think sometimes, like, when you've grown up in tumultuous relationships, or like you grew up with your parents maybe separated, or some people are very hard of character and are almost overbearing, and maybe if you're more of like a chill person, like there's just so many, you can be from the same household, same parents, same siblings, to completely different human beings. And I think sometimes in my example, I came to the United States when I was 10, so I didn't grow up with my parents like fully. I grew up with my grandparents, and when I did come here, it was a completely different like paradigm shift, like not just in a new language, a new country, but even new parents. Like I didn't recognize my dad very much because I was very little when he came over here, of course with the pursuit of like a better life for us, but my sadness and my feelings didn't understand that. They just understood, oh, my parent was here and then my parent wasn't here. So those things, whether I want to admit or not, agree or not, like those things did impact me, and to this day I'm sure are causing like certain things that I need to be brave enough to like open that kind of worm and like talk about it. But it's really hard. It's really hard, man, woman, whatever. Like, it's really hard to look that deep.
It is, and I'm glad actually that you brought this up, because I think it's so important that, you know, people share their stories, because it is hard. Now, my dad actually did the same thing that you did. He came when he was 12, and his siblings came a lot sooner. He stayed with his godparents. And so when my grandma went to go pick him up, you know, she had to literally kidnap him from school because because his godparent, his Nino, didn't want to release him because he was living with him now for what? I want to say they left when my dad was maybe 2.
Oh wow.
So like
that
he
was
didn't
like
know
their child,
that was
basically
correct. And so he wanted to raise him as his own child. He had 2 daughters, I want to say, and my dad was his son. And so, you know, but my grandma had to come out and, you know, basically come to the Nina of the godparent of my dad, and come to her from a form of a mom and say, hey, like, I need my son back. You know what I mean? And so my dad actually came to the U.S. not knowing English. You know, it's a foreign country to him. You know, he had to basically, same thing that you went through, this whole process of like, what he knew, he grew up in a I want to say like a normal size house, right? Like I don't know what normal is today, but I mean, you know, a pretty sizable house to a really tiny house with that had like 7 people there.
Yeah.
So
Tiny
like
room.
imagine, you know, so it's like you know, we all experience some type of event, trauma, trigger in our life that shape us. And you know, going through like the NLP training that I went through and becoming certified, I understood that we have what's called our imprint years from 0 to 8. There's, you know, imprints on us of like those triggers, those traumas of like abandonment. So mine, it's so funny because I got along with my dad. My dad and I are very close. And but guess what? When he left to the military at 7 years old, I was 7. I felt abandoned. Never knew that. But what happened was we create this trigger happens in our life. Then we form a belief. And then it becomes our identity. But that's not who we are, right? So what I do as a coach is I help them uncover that trigger. I go down and I ask questions. I go deep with them. And then I interrupt the belief. And then I help them reframe it by anchoring a new truth in them.
How does one interrupt a belief?
So I ask questions. Because what happens with people is we can't just say, oh, Jeanette, you're this way because this. We can't. Because guess what? Our subconscious mind holds on to this story, this belief, to protect you. Our subconscious mind will always protect us. Always. No matter whether it's good or bad, it will always protect us. So when you know that and you're aware, I ask questions. I just ask questions. We have a normal conversation and I start asking my clients questions. And I had a conversation with this man the other day and I was just asking them questions and I was like, oh, and then I brought up his father and I said, oh, is that why this and this happened? And literally tears fell out of his eyes. And I just understand the process. I said, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have done that right here. But it's the awareness, because what's happening is our subconscious is understanding that there's these hidden beliefs that we're holding on to, and our conscious mind is now becoming aware of it.
Wow.
Yes.
That's deep.
It is
For
deep.
lack of a better word, like how does one even get the courage? Like, what for you was it like a last straw kind of thing that prompted you to like do all this work?
You know, when I became NLP certified,
NLP, what does that stand for again?
so it's neuro-linguistic programming. It's
neuro-linguistic programming.
Neuro-linguistic programming. It's the belief that we hold on to, you know, this framework our body sticks to from growing up. Like,
which is what you interrupt with the questions.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, I can interrupt with the questions and then anchor it. But what I did is I started studying spiritual psychology as well, because guess what? We all know psychology, right? We know the word of psychology, it's human behavior. So I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to understand people. You know, I love on people, but why do we stay stuck? Why do we feel like we're not enough? Why do we have like these anger tantrums? You know, why do we respond in certain ways? And so I really started to dive into that and understand people's roadmaps. We all have a belief system within us. We all have a roadmap that was generated from birth.
Yeah.
The people who shaped us, our parents, our mentors, our teachers, our siblings, our friends, people, the situations, the environments we were around, they all shaped us.
Yeah.
You know, so like I mentioned earlier, from 0 to 8, it's our imprint years. From 8 to 14, it's our modeling years. So we're now modeling after what we've learned. And then from 14 to 21, we're taking it on all of, you know, on our own. So it's just like, so we got imprint. I haven't said these terms in a while, so of course my ADHD brain will be like, we don't need that right now. But it's imprint, modeling, and the third one will come to me. But ultimately it's literally those situations in our lives that we are starting to maneuver on our own as we get older.
On our own, the key word.
On our own.
The key word. I find it hard to just meta moment.
Yes.
At 18, according to the law, you're an adult,
yes.
right? But according to science, our brain doesn't develop till 25? And you're expected to go to college, be an
yes.
adult, have a career, maybe even have a family if the expectation is 25.
Mm-hmm.
All within those times when we're just not scientifically in a psychological space where we can even like take care of all of that in our hands. You know, like that's a lot of responsibility.
And I'm so glad you said that, because like one of the things that's near and dear to my heart are kids in foster care. And for the last, I want to say 17 years, I want to say that we're on year 17 now. Every Christmas, WEWLA and tons of donors and sponsors, we gather toys for kids in foster care.
That's very kind.
And so imagine when you said the psychology of it, those kids were kicked out at 18. So now they've seen something within the psychology of the mind to say we're not even fully adaptive by then. So they're keeping them longer. So I pray and that continues to like the age of 20. I want to say it's 25 now, but I'm not sure. But again, if there's some way, some area that we were able to support them, because imagine what we went through. Can you imagine what they're going through?
In a loving home,
what I mean?
Right?
We're in a loving home, but imagine the patterns and the different types of beliefs that have been instilled within them. If I felt abandoned by my dad, even though he didn't technically leave, imagine just the neurological and psychological type of experience they're receiving. Like, my heart just goes out to any person. Like, I've come to a place in my life where I have so much grace and love for people in general.
Yes.
You want to yell at me on the road in your anger because you're on your way to work? I bless you and
That's
understand.
Okay.
I understand. Yeah, I understand that there's something within someone that they're hurting from, and it's so funny because, don't get me wrong, I am not Mother Teresa. The human in me may fling a finger every now and then. I'm kidding. But no, I mean, there's, that knee-jerk reaction sometimes that you're just like, somebody cuts you off and they cuss you out and you're like, wait a second.
I think this morning I was driving here and this person was just driving like 25 on like a 35.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm normally it doesn't bother me. The road is obviously a shared space.
Right.
Like, I can just move to the next lane. But for some reason, I was just like, dude, like, why are you going so...
Oh.
And I said it out loud. I said, dude, why are you going so slow? And in that moment, I caught myself and I'm like, Jeanette, like, relax. Like, it's not a big deal. But that reaction, like, still came out.
Absolutely. And I do it too.
I understand.
I do it too. It's so funny because I'll catch myself. Like, I'll say something like, a reaction. I'll be like, oh my God, that guy just like acted this way. And I was like, I'm sorry, God, forgive me. Like, I just, but again, so what I coach on, or what I have a show, as I mentioned, called You Were Meant for More. I don't know if I mentioned it yet right now.
Not in the podcast yet.
Okay, got it. So where God is guiding me is the human experience versus our spiritual being.
Yes.
Because we are of Him, we have the Spirit within us that is guiding us, or that is trying to guide us. But guess what?
Keyword free will.
The human in us, He gave us free will. The human in us will always fight back and always try to figure out life on its own. So tell me how you're doing trying to figure out life on your own.
Oof, that's a loaded question.
And the only reason is because in my journey and on my show, I share how many times, I don't know how many times or the count, He's thrown me in the belly of a whale. And if you know the Bible, that's the story of Jonah, who wouldn't listen to God. And so God is telling me to go this way, and I was just like, yeah, but God, there's more this way. And so like every time I struggled in my life and I was just down to my last straw, I've hit rock bottom, bankruptcies, car repossessions, depression again in 2022, you name it. Like, I went through it all, and I was like, you know what, I'm done. God, take the wheel, I am done. And so it literally is surrender. It's surrender. And just letting him take the wheel. You know, it's to say, empty me every morning, empty me, fill me, and use me. Whatever it is at your will, not mine.
Amen.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. You're an empowerment speaker, and I feel empowered. Truly, I really do. I want to dive back into the conversation. We were talking about trauma.
Yes.
And we were talking about how, like, we've experienced and we've had
Sure.
that trauma based on how we grew up and our parents.
Yes.
And I think it's also really important for me to hit the fact that, like, our parents were also, they were raised by another set of human beings who are even probably more troubled, because it's only now that I think, like, socially it's acceptable to, like, have these conversations and to put these things out in the open. Even like men's mental health, I really love that you're saying that the people that are reaching out to you most are men, because I think that's new. Like, that's a new thing that I'm hearing. Because men, what do you mean men have feelings?
Oh, I know.
Right? Like, what is that?
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm so glad you nailed it. You nailed it. And what happens is so many people hold on to these emotions that are controlling you that can lead to illnesses. And that's another topic. But I'm very adamant about that, because I want people to heal internally so that they are healing any type of disease that they're dealing with, you know, because we can do it. Our bodies are strong enough to fight off things. And, you know, again, I'll get a lot of backlash, but, you know, there's a lot to the holistic type of approach. And so, well, that's another topic. But you talked about how they came from a set of parents. So one of the biggest things that my coaches taught me that has really stuck with me is we get to forgive and release our parents.
Yes.
They didn't know what they didn't know, because they were only given the tools that they knew.
Yes.
Guess what? We didn't know what we didn't know because we got the tools that they used.
Yeah.
And it can go generation upon generation. So understand that we're living in a new generation where we get to understand and we get to give grace to those who hurt us.
Yes.
To those who showed up in a space that they only knew how to show up in.
Yes.
So when you think about relationships, any type of relationship, whether it be friendship, a couple, you know, a marriage, you know, any relationship, a coworker, is understanding. It's so funny. You said you're a communications major, so was I.
Oh, nice.
I love it. I was like, high five, girl. High five. I love that about you. And yeah, she's very amazing, because she went off and got her master's too. I didn't go that far. I was just like, I got an AA and we're calling it a day. I started my business after that. But, you know, you have the background that, you know, shows as the communication major that you are. So I love that for you. And so ultimately, it really is understanding the emotions that people go with. So like, for like any ladies out there listening, for the men that hurt you, guess what? They didn't know what they didn't know. They all had a roadmap. You have a roadmap. How do we get to forgive and love each other? So I have a workshop that I do. It's called the Self-Love Mastermind. Ooh. And it focuses on self-love, self-worth, and forgiveness. So those three components, because what's happening is we got to learn how to love ourselves first. It's not about bubble baths and I'm going to take myself out for, you know, a mimosa. Yes, that's self-love, but it's not internal self-love.
That's like momentary self-love.
Correct.
Momentary dopamine.
Right, exactly. And really understanding the self-love that fuels your confidence, gets you in a space of showing up in those rooms that are changing, that are very momentum, you know, driven and very inspiring. And you know, you show up as the bad ass person you are. I don't know if I can say that, but you know,
you can spell
you can bleep me out. And so, but no, it's really understanding the self-love component. And then the self-worth is knowing you are worthy enough for good things, you know, of good things. You know, you're God's child, for one. So understand that will always be, you are worthy. But for some reason, this image of us is that we're not good enough, right? And I went through it for years. I mean, I'd host events and people were like, oh my God, Francine, you're so inspiring. I love what you're saying, all the things. And I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. And so I was telling you and Francisco earlier that I took 2 years off to really self-develop who I was. And now I'm a completely different person. And where I was single for 13 years, I've now attracted the love I've always wanted, because guess what? I stepped into my power and purpose and loved me the way I wanted to be loved.
You were hiding yourself.
And so self-love, self-worth, knowing I'm worthy enough to receive, to partner, to collaborate, to grow, to receive the income that I've always wanted. You know what I mean? To be in the spaces that I've created and even others created. And let's grow together. But again, there was this belief that I didn't deserve all that.
5 years ago, I had a really horrible sciatica pain.
Okay.
I don't have a specific scenario to where I got hurt and that pain started. I think it was just the way that I was working out over the years, to where one of my discs herniated, but I didn't know that.
Okay.
I thought it was just sciatica, and I would tell people, I would go to the doctor, they would say it's normal, everybody has it. But it wasn't until 2 years later that I realized it was because of a herniated disc. So that's a different type of pain. After 2 years, losing a lot of weight, because that's what they said to do, that's what they said would get rid of it, nothing worked. I ended up getting a surgery on my spine. I got a surgery on my spine, and throughout those whole 4 or 5 year of a process, I gained a lot of weight. I stopped doing different things because my body I couldn't walk very much.
Yeah.
I couldn't do very much. I was constantly living in sadness in my body because I was in pain.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a naturally happy person, so it was a constant cognitive dissonance between who I want to be and who I love to be, and this pain that's just really truly making me a sad person, right? So I went through that depression, and I also went through the process of feeling really bad with myself and not feeling comfortable, not feeling pretty because I gained weight, just so many things that impacted my belief in myself, and they put me into a little bit of a depression. So I love that you're talking about the fact that that's where we start, that's that starting point, and there's places and people that we can connect with to help us overcome those steps, because I wasn't ugly. I wasn't X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
I was just feeling like that because of the pain that I was experiencing. But I knew that I needed to get help because I didn't truly feel about myself like that. I was just feeling that way because of the pain. And I think a lot of people might feel that they can relate to that, because oftentimes we are really happy people, but maybe things are happening in our life that cause us pain, and we don't know how to, it just shows up maybe differently than what we would want it to.
So I'm glad you brought that up. And and yes, a lot of people go through what you went through. Now let me tell you, pain, any type of pain in your body, any type of mishap is associated to an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Is associated to something that's happened into your life or something you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So usually the back is connected to not feeling supported. So when I talk to my clients and they're having back issues, and I'm like, where in your life are you not feeling supported? And the thing is, this all goes deep, so, just having those conversations with people and helping them understand and bringing things to awareness that your subconscious mind holds on to.
Yeah.
Because it affects our overall body. And really taking the time to learn more about who you are and why things are happening in that space, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you were going through a season in your life where you weren't feeling supported. It then reflected out your self-love, your and take this with a grain of salt because it's what we go through, our lack of self-love,
Yeah.
our lack of self-worth, and something you were holding on to that was probably a forgiveness portion where somebody you felt wasn't supporting you in your life, or it could have been something that you felt as a child and now it's coming up for you.
Yeah.
And so it, again, like all of these areas that I go through in this workshop talk about these things because it really dives into like, who do we get to forgive? And a lot of the times it's ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's ourselves. For it could be parents, a lot of it's parents, but a lot of, or siblings, and then a lot of it is just like, okay, I forgive myself for not allowing this safe space to forgive others.
Yeah, to be stubborn, to
Right.
hold on to whatever resentment,
Right.
because like we mentioned, sometimes people behaved upon what they know,
Yeah.
and
And
it's
that's
not
it.
necessarily any kind of reflection like upon us.
And that's it. It's the human experience. And I told, it's so funny, I have, because it's just popped up and I got to share really quick. But God reached out to me the other, like not the other day, I always say the other day, several weeks ago. but it's funny because he reached out to me and he's just like, he goes, because my biggest thing in self-development is mind, body, spirit.
Mind, body, are those core values of WEWLA?
So, I mean, it's WEWLA and it's me as a
And
whole.
it's you.
So mind, body, spirit, you know, growth mindset. Get your mind, you know, building and growing and not in your emotions. And because I do a lot of emotional regulation. And, you know, get it right. Surround yourself with the right people. You know, go out and you know, make waves and help and support people. Help people where you can.
Yeah.
Get your mindset right. Okay, so body, get your body right. Move your body. You know, yes, I'm not the thinnest person, but guess what? I move my body. You know, so whether it be a walk or whether it be lifting weights, you know, just some type of form of exercise, move your body. You know,
Yes.
and then the spirit within, mind, body, spirit. You got to feed your spirit because your spirit is trying to talk to you every single day, but we don't want to listen because you know we're doing this thing called life here.
It's hard to listen with your head busy worrying about rent and
Exactly.
gas and my tire, there's a pothole on the floor.
There's all these things that you want to be mad about. But it's like,
Yes.
guess what? That's life. And it's like, but when you know, so bringing it back to what he's told me, so of course it's, you know, I'm always mind, body, spirit, and that's what I talk about and things like that. He goes, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. He goes, bring everybody back to the heart. And I was like, OMG.
I love this.
I was like, what? And so, you know, I was like, oh my goodness, because, you know, we always do the sign of the cross, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? And then, yeah, and then amen. And so it's like, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And I go, oh my goodness, mind, body, spirit.
Another aha moment.
Another aha. And I just like, okay, so basically what he told me is that, you know, because the thing is, like, Jesus came into the world. God gave Jesus his only son to sacrifice for us, for our sins, right? Because, you know, we're sinful people.
We're sinful people, which is okay. We're normal and we're human, and that's part of the human experience.
That is part of the human experience. All he's saying is he wants you to come back to here. That's where you're going to find love. That's where you're going to find God. That's where you're going to find that peace that he wants every person to experience.
Yeah.
And that's why I do what I do as a coach.
I
It's
love
because
that.
I want people to feel that peace. I want them to be emotionally regulated and understand where their emotions are coming from. Understand why they're showing up in a way of like that's not serving them. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just want them to show up in a place of love.
What are your marketing strategies? How do you market yourself? Because I think you're a space that everybody needs to hear, know about, and connect with.
Yeah.
Like, how did you, when you started 9 years ago, like, what did you do to get yourself out there?
It's so funny because what I did back then is I just started. I threw myself out there. I was posting. I remember when I started the group on Facebook, I would just post inspirational quotes. I invited like 400 of my Facebook friends that were all women, and not one person liked, not one person commented, or, you know, it was just like, so I was like, okay, well, nobody likes me. I guess I'll just fall into depression again. You know what I mean?
I feel that.
So then I was like, well, whatever. I continue to show up and post quotes and inspirational messages, And then one day, this woman on the street walked by. I forget who it was. And if you ever watch the show, let me know. But they came up to me and she's like, Francine, I see your posts. I love what you're doing. She's like, keep doing it. You're
Just
inspiring me.
Just lady that
it
you
was
saw
somebody I knew. But it's like, somebody I knew from like maybe my Facebook page and I had invited to the group and just, I love what you're doing.
Nice.
And I was like, huh.
Someone's watching.
Somebody's watching. I'm like, in my head, well, why aren't you liking it? Why aren't you commenting? So what I always say is that experience taught me to be your biggest cheerleader.
Yes.
Be your biggest cheerleader because people are watching. And so I did show up in the beginning on Facebook and I would do videos and I did like workshops, I did classes, I did networking events. I did it all until 2023 came and I just stopped. I was like, I'm burnt out. And because I kept going in circles. But what happened is I understood that I had money blocks.
Money blocks.
There were so many things that, can happen to people, but I personally had money blocks. What I knew growing up and how I understood money and we were not taught, And so I realized, okay, I was always in this scarcity mode of I receive money and I got to spend it.
Mm-hmm.
I receive it, I got to pay all my bills.
Yeah.
So there was never enough. And I was like, how is this happening? So I was never strategic with my money. And so I was like, okay. So and then in 2022, I also realized that they diagnosed me ADHD. That's another story. But it helped me realize, like, I did fall into this emotional turmoil about it because I realized I wasn't dumb. Because growing up, the teacher would say something and I didn't understand it. And I remember asking questions and I remember the kids at school would laugh. But what happened is it helped me understand my brain.
Yeah.
It helped me understand that I processed information differently. So if somebody says something now, I just I'll go and I don't understand it. I'll kind of be like this. And they'll say it again in a different format. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Or if they don't say it in a different format, I'll ask them in the way I know how to ask. And then they'll say it. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So it's not necessarily because there's a lot of people out there that have that type of the same process that our brains do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily, it's not normal. It's just understanding the way you process information. Yeah. And so I remember my coach telling me, don't let them label you. And then I was like, I don't understand, because I started like spearheading ADHD for women. I started like, hey, you guys, this is why this is happening. This is why this. I mean, I remember the doctors wanted to put me on medication. I'm like, absolutely not. But I got to understand me more. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, so this is why I do this. This is why I do that. So what was happening is in a business, I need, as an ADHD brain, I need structure and I need consistency. Mm-hmm. If I do not have structure and consistency, my brain is lost. I'm all over the place.
How do you provide yourself structure and consistency?
So what I've started doing is I started taking some mints that help me stay energized and focused. Because if I wake up very sluggish, I can't get a lot done because of the low energy that I have, which creates brain fog. Mm-hmm. So I have these neural mints that I take. And
is it called neurogum?
Yes, it's called neural mint. Yeah, neural mints.
I've tried them.
But I do have neural mints. So yeah,
nice.
I do the mints part. I don't know. I think there's a gum, but I think I do the neural mints.
For me, it's like this blue package,
That's
and
it.
they're like little gums. And I also have the sleeping ones, which are great.
Yeah.
I knock out in 10 minutes.
I
I'm
have the
out.
sleeping ones too, and I'm out.
I think.
Do you take two? I take two.
I've had once.
Okay.
But usually I'm okay with the one.
One? Girl,
and
I'll
I
pop
also
two.
want to say I'm undiagnosed, but I also now, while working and going through my adult life, I do see that I have a lot of like ADHD tendencies, which is great because I think in my creative field, like it makes me better.
Absolutely. And see, the thing is, what people need to realize is how your brain works. So like mine is very creative. Mine's very creative, and it loves, to speak. So I don't want to be stuck in like the back end work, so I'll hire a VA. And that's where I got stuck a lot over the years, is in the back end work. So at the time, I couldn't afford somebody. So I was just like, okay, well, I just got to figure it out. And so, oh my goodness, diving into IT, I met the best person out there who does, who I host my like CRM platform on. So all of my email campaigns, all of my marketing, all the things are now on a system.
Okay.
And absolutely love her. And now her and I are diving into SoCast. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff coming. So I put a hold on a lot of things, and literally, like, as far as marketing goes now, is I am a creator. I'm a content creator.
Okay.
So I share a lot on social media, and I'm going to be sharing a lot more because, again, I took a step back. But this is 2026, and I'm the year of the horse.
Ooh.
This is my year.
This is it.
This is my breakthrough year.
We need to come back next year, have a podcast, and talk about all the wonderful things you did in 2026.
And I need to have you on my podcast because you got to share all the things that you're doing. So.
I'm just like you. I love to talk. I love to share. But with the purpose of, like, just providing information. Never with the purpose of trying to alter any kind of thought. Just let me just share what I know. Yeah. And then you get to decide what you believe is makes sense for you or not. Like, I love speaking. I think I used to be ashamed of that. Like, it wasn't something that I thought was my strong suit. But I think now that I see that not everyone is open to being so open and vulnerable, now I do see it as my strength, because people can feel comfortable to come to me because they know that they have somebody in me that will understand. Yeah. And bringing it back to WEWLA, to your nonprofit, what can I expect? Like, if I'm somebody who wants to go on my journey, my empowerment journey, and I want to be an influencer maybe, or I just want to work on the hurt that I know that I have with the purpose of moving forward, and I come to you and I'm like, Francine, like, I need help, I want to be a part of your group. What can I expect? How do you start? Like, what's the process?
I mean, so, you know, WEWLA is a community. On Facebook, I used to post all the time. It's pretty silent right now. But like I said, things are changing in my path now. So more stuff is going to be active. Like, I'm going to start doing, I think our first outing, it was supposed to be the Dodger game. We do women's night at Dodger Stadium. But I'm going to Hawaii, so on that day we're flying back. So unfortunately, I'm sorry, unless somebody wants to take it over, I may recruit Jeanette to take that night over and have her manage it for WEWLA.
As long as you teach me,
absolutely, I'm all about it, you know. And it's like, and so that can be that. But like, for example, in May, like, I love just connection with women, and like, I don't know if you all know, but The Devil Wears Prada Part 2 is coming out.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So
what?
I want to create a women's night for all of us to go to the movies together. So, you know, things like that are just fun. And I'm sorry, like, all those women out there that are hosting Galentine's events without me. I'm just kidding. For WEWLA, like, I want to be able to host a Galentine's event, you know, and just, like, bring women in that aren't part of those, like, groups, because like, let's all come together and celebrate one another.
You know what I love? And you hablas español, you speak Spanish.
Un
poquito.
Yeah.
I love that Valentine's Day in español es el día de el amor y la amistad.
Oh,
because it's true, like, that's where the Galentine comes from. Like, celebrate with your friends. Like, you don't just have to be with, like, a significant other to enjoy the day, but we love on, like, our family, our parents, our girlfriends that become sisters, or our guy friends that become brothers, you know, and in the eyes of God, we're all brothers and sisters. So
absolutely.
I think it's just cool that we have, like, these spaces that we can, like, share with the purpose of love.
Yeah, because, you know, that's my message. That's where, like, I'm guiding, I'm talking to God and finding out what direction he wants me to go with. I know that there's an event coming up that we're going to be partnering with, April 17th. It's a Friday, right?
Yes.
And so I'm praying about it, asking God what direction we're headed. You know, if it's a networking, is it a mini summit? Because I do summits as well, where it's like a 3-hour type of ordeal. Is it like, and what is our mission? And now our mission, of course, is God's love. You know, but like, how are we going to position it? Are we doing it like I'm trying to get all those details right now
Yeah.
from him.
Yeah.
And, just waiting on him because, like, right away, there's times where I'm very like, all right, God, what do you want to do? What are we doing? Like, what's happening? Can you give me it? Like, and then he's silent.
How do I listen?
Yeah.
What
And then
are signs even? Like,
He's silent. And I'm like, well, that's not fun. You know what I mean? But I'll be driving and he's like, this, that. I'm like, I need something to write it down. But guess what?
That's true. The writing it down and ADHD
Yes.
is not a very good
Yes.
combination.
So he's done it to me while I've been driving, but then, like, he tells me, like, I don't make time for him. And it's true. There's times where I'm just like, I don't make time for him, and then I'm like busy, and I'm like, okay, that needs to stop. So, like, during Lent, I downloaded the Hollow app.
Okay.
Love it, by the way. And find me on there.
Hollow app?
Hollow app is literally following, through with God's word and sharing the good news, and there's different stories in there, and we're doing the 40-day Lent, and so you have like people like Jonathan Rumi on it, like he plays Jesus in The Chosen. You have Chris Pratt, you have Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, and they're reading, like from
the scripture.
Yeah, scripture, and then also like this last one was an interview with Sister Olga. I want to say, yeah, was it Sister Olga or Mother Olga? One of those. And so, yeah, I just like hearing those stories. But anyways, it helps me stay connected to him more. And so I was like, okay, let me make this a priority because, life be lifing. But understanding that he's first and he's the one that's going to bring the peace in our lives. And so I have to be more obedient.
Do you have any more upcoming women empowerment events?
As of now, not yet. So, like, I just recently restructured my business, and 2026 is gearing for a big year, and I'm actually flying out to Boston in a couple days to partner with another business that is focused on corporate leadership.
Okay.
So it's
That's
staffing,
great.
corporate leadership, and IT. That portion of it. So it would be taking me in a space that I've been wanting to do because right now my business is consumer to consumer, but I would really like to get into corporate leadership and train people like in the C-suites type of arena.
Nice.
And again, because the thing is there's so much great talent out there, and when people are ego driven because of how they show up in their own space and they really put an impact to others that can make a world of difference in that business, but because their ego is too high or it creates this friction in the workspace, and it's really getting that communication level and understanding of the dynamic so that they can work cohesively and in peace and harmony together.
That's a interesting topic for me because I work in a restaurant where on a daily basis I'm working with over like 100 people. Like it's just crazy. I do the event sales side, so I'm a sales coordinator. I assist our sales managers with booking the events, gathering details, putting it all really beautifully, all the details together in a banquet event order is what we call it. And then we provide that to the operations team so they know exactly what food the party wants to have, the timeline, any allergies, the setup. We create a floor plan, literally like we're creating a floor plan. I learned how to be a cartographer, which is someone who like creates floor plans.
Oh, I love that.
So like it's a lot, and there's a lot of different parts working together for the one goal of making this company like money, right?
Yeah.
And growing. But everyone has different ideas and ways in which they feel that will arrive to that goal best, And it can be really tricky when you have people who aren't open to like ideas or aren't open to collaborating. And like it's such I think of life, work, anywhere as like a playground where like there's rules in place to make sure that everybody like feel safe and heard in
Mm-hmm.
these shared spaces.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that life is just not that simple. Life is a little more complicated, and we have to learn how to like navigate that so that we can get to our goals.
Yeah.
Because life is not easy, and
No.
like it sucks, but it's the truth.
So, I mean, and it's so funny because you had asked when I'm going to do events, and because I'm a coach and how I receive people is I also receive their energies. So it's hard for me to do a lot of events because it drains the energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I have to recover when I do events. And so I have to strategically plan them out. It's not that I don't want to. I love being with people, but I have to understand how to not push me past my limits,
Yes.
which I did for so long.
Which led to your burnout.
My burnout,
Mhm.
correct. And but I absolutely love events. I can't wait to jump back into events. But like I said, I got to do it in a strategic place. So when you're working with people in general,
Yeah.
you, as a coach, and how I'm able to understand is I know how to understand energies, and I know what people are going through
Yeah.
just by talking to them. And it's a gift, honestly. Like, I'm just like, oh, this is actually really nice, but like, it's, at first it was kind of scary. And I was just like, what is happening right here?
Mhm.
But no, I mean, it's just asking the questions. It's getting to know somebody. It's building relationships.
Yeah.
That's where it comes down to, is really building relationships and, understanding somebody's space and where they're at in their life. But to talk to a group of people, you're going to get people that are excited to be there. You're going to get people that are just like, this is just a paycheck. So how do you connect to every single one of them differently?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just to really talk to them as a whole. Like, I know some of you are here, are ecstatic about being part of the team and want to really show up in that space. And I know some of you are just here for the paycheck,
Maybe your friend pulled you. Hey,
yeah,
let's
maybe
go
your
to
friend
this.
pulled you,
Yeah.
but how can we support you in this space and know that you are supported whenever, or however we can support you, let us know. So it's just really giving that understanding that they feel safe to come to you with anything. Now, granted, not everyone's going to come forward, so it's a matter of like, okay, well, how are they going to, you're putting it out there so that it's a safe space, ultimately. And then it's up to them whether they want to receive and then approach. But ultimately, you have guidelines, you have structure, you have systems in place to make things happen, and then you delegate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you just, if things come up, you just work at it accordingly, to the person or the energy,
Which took, I'm sure, a lot of self-understanding and like
Mhm.
really knowing who you are
Mhm.
for you to be able to even do that with so many
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine like.
Because when you regulate your emotions, you know how to control emotions. You become the leader.
When you regulate emotions, you get to control
The emotions around you. Yes.
Wow.
Because if I show up in anger, if I show up in frustration, if I'm like, coming into a room, that's what you're going to receive.
Yes.
So when you know how to regulate your own emotions and you show up in a place of confidence and just, breathing and light, you're going to receive that same type of energy. So I tell people, it's like you are going to project the energy you want to receive. So remember, how you show up is everything. So I don't like when people are like, oh, you gotta be aware of your surroundings. You gotta be this. Now, granted, yes, women, be aware of your surroundings, but even men too. But it's like you gotta understand that it's like I bring in a lightness to my area. So when people are approached, oh, why is this person treating me this way? Why did that person act this way towards me? Because there's something within you that is bringing it. And people will be like so mad, and they're just like, that's not me, that's them. Where are you holding on to some type of energy that is bringing that type of frustration from someone? There's an energy.
Yeah.
You don't even realize it. Remember, your subconscious holds on to things that your conscious mind is unaware of. So it's really allowing you to say, you know what, I'm going to show up in so much love, joy, peace, and that's what you're going to receive in front of you.
And I feel it. I think throughout this hour talking to you, like, thank you so much. I want to say that I feel honored to have had you. I feel honored to have met you because I think we're in a similar path, and I think you can always use more positive people in your life. There's way too many negative people out there already.
Yes.
But I want to take the next couple of minutes to talk about Francine. Like, can you give me a final, like, thought, a final word, a final sentence? Like, how can we reach you? How can we connect with you? Like, because people need to be in front of you. People need to hear you. And I truly want that to happen. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
give us a little.
So you can reach me at francineayala.com. If you, I mean, it's so funny because sometimes I say, Google Francine Ayala and you'll find anything. You'll find everything I've done, podcasts, interviews. You'll find my social media. You'll find my website. You'll find my YouTube channel. And definitely go subscribe. You Were Meant for More is on YouTube. Type in my name, Francine Ayala, You Were Meant for More. And then, of course, WEWLA.com is WEWLA.com. And, you can find us on social media as well. So come out, support, definitely follow us, join our email list because that's where, or follow us on social media. You'll get all of our updated events on that platform, on those platforms.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I'm excited. I really want to follow your journey, see what's next
Thank
for
you.
you, how else you're inspiring people, and I feel honored to know you, and now I
Thank you.
get the opportunity to follow you
Yeah.
and be a part of that journey with you. Like, thank you so much
Of
for
course.
your time.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Appreciate it. Guys, go out there and be blessed and know that you were meant for more.
Yes,
You
God
have a
bless.
purpose. God bless.
Thank you.